I wanted to first, I'm really glad that I didn't prepare remarks because everybody has already said a lot of the stuff, and I really hate when you hear the same facts over and over again. So I'm trying to cover stuff that hasn't been covered, right? First thing I'm going to say is a little insight into the 1977 law because I was leading marijuana protests at that time. There's another alternative explanation to the open display thing, which is that we were having thousands of people have mass smoke-ins. And perhaps the police simply felt they were going to be overrun by completely Gandhian nonviolence if they didn't put this into law. Now, Dick, you remember our conversation last July when we were talking about K2 and spice, right? And I said, well, if you follow the Uruguayan model and you made marijuana $1.30 a gram in the pharmacy, no one would smoke spice. And you said, well, you can't do that because that's recreational. Just like to point out this, when you give people methadone or buprenorphine to get them off of heroin, that's treatment. But if we use medical marijuana to control substance abuse, that's recreational? This makes no sense since it's the safest therapeutically active substance known to man.
Just to be clear, I don't think I said we can't do that because it's recreational. I think I probably said that's not doable under the existing medical marijuana law.
Right, but the point is for an indication of substance abuse. Now, as you know, I'm the ibogaine advocate. You want something that will reduce opiate overdoses? On the back of the thing I handed out is a study that shows that 41% of people with refractory substance abuse problems walked away from opiates with one or several doses of ibogaine. So I'm serious about this. I didn't make this up yesterday. We are in the middle of an opiate epidemic. Marijuana not only does not have a gateway effect, not only would Jeff Sessions completely destabilize the effort to deal with opiates by just sucking off resources that could otherwise be used. Marijuana is a frontline detox. So whatever you do, don't limit detoxes to Suboxone and methadone. They are not very good detoxes. Buprenorphine taper doesn't work. You end up with somebody on buprenorphine, right? So if you're going to have, let's look at kratom. Maybe we shouldn't make kratom illegal. Let's look at ibogaine. All the studies show that ibogaine is the only thing that works for crystal meth or cocaine. And we have a study here, 88 people, 41% people who tried to kick it again and again walked away from opiates with one or several ibogaine treatments. So let's make more detoxes available, and maybe the opiate crisis will be contained if you don't just put people on methadone. Now, the actual reason that I came here to talk today was about what I talked to Dick about last July, which is there is a medical marijuana buyers club that was started in 1993 at the height of the AIDS crisis, when the only effective medication, and let me tell you, if Donald Trump takes away the AIDS meds in Africa, which he'll probably do, it's going to be once again the only effective medication for AIDS wasting. And that is not a mental, gives you the munchies. That is a physical, stops intestinal inflammation so that you can have an appetite again. This is frontline AIDS medication. If the system collapses tomorrow, right, we'll have that plant in the corner of the yard. we put together a medical marijuana buyers club that is still supplying medical marijuana to this day to people who need it for $2 and $3 a gram. These are people on SSI. These are people on welfare. The federal government will not, they ban it. They will not pay for it under Social Security or Medicare or any kind of arrangement that exists. People are on their own. I'm asking you to legalize the existing medical marijuana buyers club. And anything you do, we are not covered under the new law. We're still out there. I went to prison in Nebraska bringing pot here. I died on the floor of the county jail. Fortunately, I was revived.
I went to prison too for that.
Yeah.
That's right.
So the point
4
is,
years for pot for helping that buyers club.
right.
4 years in the Fed.
There are some states where they really, really do not sympathize, even with medical marijuana. Okay? And you can do something about that. This is the whole question about people who have a record. Well, some people who were doing work back when we had a handshake agreement with D.A. Morgenthau who can't get into the business now unless you specifically legalize the existing buyers club. What we want is a municipal grow by New York City, so we don't have to bring pot in, so that we can have $1 a gram marijuana for the spice people who are homeless under a substance abuse indication with a medical marijuana card, and a buyer's cooperative where anybody could sign up who had a bona fide medical condition or just because they can't sleep at night. Oh, wait a minute, that's a bona fide medical condition, unless they smoke pot, like me. So that if Jeff Sessions wants to bust the Buyers Club, he can get hundreds of extremely sick people and put them in a federal prison where they will get really excellent medical care. It's Trump care. You get excellent socialized medicine if you're in prison. And oh yeah, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, you should put that in the bill.
That's right.
And you should make it so that people who just defy the new law get fired. If they want to disregard, the uniformed forces want to disregard the civilian leadership, there should be one simple step that's taken: termination of employment.
That's right.
And you got to put some teeth in this legalization stuff. Okay? That's all I can say. The best law that we ever had was the law I helped pass in California in 1996. That's all you really need, just an expanded medical marijuana law. Maybe it should be under the control of a doctor. But at least have an effective medical program if you're going to legalize pot, not what we have now. Thank you very much for your time. I am really delighted that I lived to give this testimony. Thank you. Any questions? Questions?
Questions?
You don't want to ask about the Ibogaine?
No, I'm very familiar with the study. But I will tell you that two other people that testified before did, and it's not a huge mistake, but made a mistake with the 25% reduction in opioid deaths. In those specific studies, if you look, opioid deaths increased, but in the areas
I
where
understand.
marijuana was legalized,
But it was a lesser
25,
increase.
It was a 75% instead of 25%. So I just want to make sure that people understand that the opioid overdose death rate is not going down because the opioid manufacturing companies are making a lot of money.
Well, in that case,
Giving
if
some of it
you're
to Cuomo.
serious, right,
Please
about
don't say if I'm serious. I'm extremely
cutting.
serious.
Yeah, what I'm saying, to seriously attack the opioid crisis, let's make some other detoxes available, especially one that will cut.
Again, you're
41
you're speaking to the choir.
Yeah, but-
I was just asking if there were specific studies that allow marijuana, medical marijuana, to be used in a detox setting. To do the studies to find out if people addicted to opioids would then not be addicted to opioids anymore.
What we found out was-
and until we do that and have documentation for the people that don't seem to get this, we're going to have a difficult time. As far as treatment in the state of New York, don't even get me started on that, because 99% of the New Yorkers that get addicted to anything, whether it be alcohol or opioids or any other kind of drug, their treatments are usually not in the state of New York. They get shipped out to Pennsylvania or to Florida because it's cheaper for the insurance companies to pay there than they do here. There's very little treatment in the state of New York. It's just a damn shame. And we keep on saying how we care, but I don't really think we do. We haven't taken it seriously. And I propose that if the governor was serious in his 2018 State of the State about suing opioid manufacturers, that I would also like that same commitment that if there ever is a collection of money from the opioid manufacturers, that 100% of that money be used only for treatment in the state of New York. That it's not going to be like the tobacco money that gets used to plug deficit holes throughout the budget, that it gets used for treatment. And again, we could have this conversation, but that's not the purpose of this particular hearing.
I understand,
This particular
but
hearing is talking about the legalization
There
of marijuana.
there is this problem that marijuana is not perceived as a treatment
I
for
agree.
substance abuse.
I agree with you.
And it's the most effective treatment there is. Almost everybody I know that was successful after doing the Ibogaine went on to smoking just marijuana
That's
and
why
no longer doing drugs.
I would love to, when the research consultants were here, and I was explaining to them, are there any documented studies? And unfortunately, because of some lapses in our legislation, maybe in the state of New York, that we don't have opioid addiction as one of the reasons to prescribe medical marijuana, that may be something we're going to have to look at so that we could have those studies move forward.
Write some legislation.
Well, this is a problem with these people advising sessions. They still believe
I
that,
really
that
don't care about
every
Jeff
single
Sessions.
every single use of marijuana is by definition substance abuse, and we got to change that. Thank you.
Yeah, by the way, we recently introduced a bill to amend the medical marijuana law to take the list of conditions out, so marijuana could be used for any severe, debilitating, life-threatening condition, which is the way the bill started out some years ago. If and when that change is enacted, medical marijuana would then be usable for treatment of opioid addiction. Other questions? Latrice Walker?
So thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the host of other chairs that I have the benefit of sitting here with. I just wanted to I have two quick questions and one sort of comment. You had a extremely thorough and well thought out commentary, I thought, but I was sort of taken aback when you made the statement, even people on welfare. And I just want to say that we have to be cognizant of our language, and we want to make sure that we're not utilizing words with negative connotations or in order to do something with us, which I think is very beneficial and will be beneficial to Black and brown communities, but to utilize such a pejorative terminology at the same time. So while we're being progressive in our thought, let's remain consistent, if you will, and that's just a respectful request that I have for you. I was intrigued by your buyer's cooperative terminology. Like, what can you tell me a little bit about what that actually is or was?
It still exists.
Okay.
It's kind of small compared to the height of the AIDS crisis,
But
but it still exists.
tell me what is it?
We're not covered under the law. We